there. So I wanted to talk about how to compress JavaScript and CSS in your code. And and it will help for SEO. So you're looking at page speed, JavaScript, and CSS compression is awesome. So if you are on a WordPress site, I would highly recommend what's called wpfastest cache. I pay the premium version, it's $50, but it's awesome. So it does something called HTML compression, CSS compression, and JavaScript compression. It also does combining them all into one file in the folder, and it also it does a few other things too. Those are the easy ones. They also do minification. So basically the grand scheme is what this compression and minification does is you have this. This is my trash can. Oh look, there's more space. But anyway, so the long story short is that's basically what they do. And they do more than that too, though. It's like, but that's their main function. So now, like, if you stop it the first time you've used WP fastest cache, which is the fastest of them at the moment, now you can do something else called gzip. And when you use gzip, you're basically, actually, no. I think I'm wrong. Okay, so if you're gzipping something, you're going to be like, okay, well, these files, these sure are bulky off on their own. I'm going to use the zip compression to make them smaller and put them in this nice little container. Imagine that actually zip them up. So it's like, it's just using zip files like your desktop does, you shrink them down. But beyond that, I mean, there's image compression, which is called lossless image compression, which is pretty easy too. You just go, for most users, just go to compresspng.org or whatever, and it will just allow you to mass upload a file, and you just compress them. It will just take out the stuff that people can't even see. It will look the same, and it will just take up less space. So other than that, resizing images can help. But there's also this thing called Cloudflare you can sign up for. Now, Cloudflare is a godsend. It's an anti-DDoS tool that kind of ballooned in usage, kind of like JavaScript in that way. Like JavaScript was like, oh, we're just going to be used for this front-end development stuff. It's going to be great. And it's like, oh, we're going to be server-side. Oh, you can program robotics with it. It's wonderful. Like, it just keeps expanding and expanding. But so this, Cloudflare was supposed to be, at least initially, for preventing DDoS attacks, But then it turned into what's called a content delivery network. And a content delivery network is a network that delivers content. So basically, someone goes to access your webpage, right? For the first time. And let's say they're the first person in Detroit to access your webpage. So they go to access the webpage, and they pull your stuff. And let's say it's a 10-second load. That's not super great. But now let's say someone in a suburb of Detroit, let's say someone up in, how about Troy? Someone in Troy is just like, I'm going to download this webpage. And poof, they go to your webpage. And they get it in 3 seconds. And the reason why is that your server, wherever it may be, your server could be in anywhere on the planet. Let's say you put it in Antarctica. Not that you would actually do that. Let's say Iowa, because that's more realistic. So your server from Iowa gets moved over to, it gets moved over to Canada, or it gets moved over to Detroit. And so you don't have your server in Iowa is still in Iowa, but you have a node in Detroit. You have all these nodes that are in each city. And these content delivery network nodes temporarily store a version of the files you pulled down. So all the little image files, poof, they're all stored in this node. And all the video files, poof, they're stored in these nodes. And all the CSS documents pulled and JavaScript documents pulled, you name it, poof, in the node. And so then every time someone else goes to visit it, it's in that node, at least as long as no one visits the page for 30 days, and you might have a little different of a story, but But then if someone from South Africa comes to visit it, and only the Detroit node has it in it, Poof. First one's slow. Second one's faster because the second one goes to the load. So that's how Cloudflare started. They did that and anti-DDoS protection, but it grew over time. It kind of ballooned. Basically, they were like, you know what? We slow people down. Having this extra jump in the journey is just taking too long. We need to add some speed services. So they made pretty much the best in the business speed compression stuff. So it's like, if you've already seen how wpfastest cache is like compressing, right? Well, this is what like Cloudflare's like. Cloudflare's like, because they just take it that much more seriously, and that's about as compressed as something can get. So yeah, that's what they do. And they have other stuff too. There's something called Argo. So imagine that you have to. This is gonna be fun. Okay, so imagine you have to get all these little things. So I have to touch each one of these things before I get to my door, right? Let's say, I am a computer system, and I'm like, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah's computer, and I need to reach out to www.dme.net. And your computer's like, okay, boom, reaching out to the router. And your router's like, boom, reaching out to your internet service. Your internet service is like, boom, reaching out to the internet service. Boom, reaching out to the internet backbone or whatever. Boom, reaching out to your internet service. Boom, reaching out to your, your target, dme.net. Well, if you use a service called Argo, it's called network routing. So it's like, hey, you know what? It's like a GPS. You're like, hey, if you take this left turn here, you'll save yourself 4 routes. And it's like, okay, thank you, Argo. Poof. And my thing went from 7 jumps to 4 jumps, which if each one's taking like, let's say 20 milliseconds or